Hello, 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 ladies and gelatins. Welcome to Monday. It's Monday. It's definitely Monday. So yeah, life is still pretty crazy. So I ask for patience and understanding, and that I will have another short stream today. We'll see how far we get, though. I'm not saying we're gonna call it at an hour, but oh my gosh, that's right. No wonder. Okay, so I'm wondering, like, why are there no Americans? Well, it's daylight savings time. Everyone probably was just like, oh, I guess Jellycat's not streaming today because they don't know that we don't have daylight savings time at the same time, and I don't blame them because it's all good. But yes, hello, hello, Ruby. Hello, hello, Kira. Yes, it's Monday. Crazy, right? It's like, yeah, like it's the beginning of March, but it's becoming more March pretty quickly. But yes, great to see you. Great to see you. Though very sad to hear about your leg, though. I hope you get better very quickly. And yeah, like actually, no, March has been crazy because March was literally like, so we went from like -15, -10, freezing and snowing, and then 15 and nice. It's nice. All the snow melted in like 3 days. Now it's nice. And it just keeps being pretty nice overall. And it's like, what happened? What was not? I mean, I talked to like at least some people who lived in the city for a while, and they're like, oh, that's what it's like here. It's what it's like here in Poland. They just get winter, and then suddenly it's cold, and then suddenly it's warm. And I'm like, really? Because that's not what I remember from the previous years, but I think this was more typical weather, surprisingly, considering actually we had snow for quite a while, which was nice. It made it feel more wintry, but it was also slippery. And I really need to buy boots, unless, actually, no, I don't. I went another winter without buying a pair of boots. I do have boots, but like they keep like, so basically the lining on the bottom of the boot keeps like squeeching up like a little inchworm, except instead of being like an inchworm, what it does is it basically makes me feel like I'm walking on a stick, like a big hard stick in my shoe the entire time. Now I can like take it and I can pull it sometimes, but it doesn't stay. So even when I do that, it like not fun. So like I really need another pair of shoes, but I just am like, I don't wanna have another pair of shoes because that costs money, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of shoe I want. Oh, I just wore sneakers. I just wore sneakers in the winter. To be fair, though, I did spend basically the entirety of January indoors because of my surgery. I probably would have caved and bought boots, but you see, like, instead I just wore my incredibly slippery sneakers because I bought these sneakers when I first moved to Poland. They're still holding up really nicely. They're basically the only shoe I wear at this point. And then, yeah, except the problem is that the bottom has gotten like, I don't know. It's let's just say it's gotten like sanded down into the perfect slippery slippiness, and to the point where literally I sometimes feel like I'm about to slip and fall on just like a basic, like the floor in the mall or something. Yeah. Rain, cold, and decent. Also fog. I've heard that like most of the seasons in Britain are fog. There's a lot of fog. But it also reminds me though, because like I feel like it's gonna snow again at some point. Like we're gonna have another surprise winter, but like I don't know. What if we skip that part this year? That would be weird. Then everything is weird. Everything continues to be weird. Fog isn't a weather. It's just an addition. It's just there. Fog just hangs out, it's just a part of things. It just like just happy to be here, fog. I get it. I get it. Oh gosh, what else was I going to say? Right, I forgot. Yeah, so basically the plan is I'm gonna go for about an hour. I mean, it's at least an hour. It's just that like if we go a little longer than an hour because we almost finished something, we might go. But like I'll try to stop at like at a good stopping point. But I just have so too many things going on, and things are getting better than last week. Last week was really mentally and emotionally brutal. It's better, but like there's still a lot of stuff to deal with. So, but it's okay. It's okay. Though honestly, okay, I want to say something. Things at work are really interesting. They're not bad, but they are a little strange in that like I got moved to a new project, so now I'm doing like more data engineering stuff, which like actually is cool. Like it's literally one of the things I wanted to do and thought I was going to be a data engineer until that job didn't happen, which turned out to be for the best. Turns out the universe actually knows what it's doing sometimes. And like, I don't know, I'm kind of weird in that like I actually do believe in like not the universe not as a conscious entity, but as like a like if you are true to yourself and you like I don't know how to put it. Like if you actually listen to all of your senses and not just like the base ones and not like sixth sense, but like in the way that like we have all these instincts and understandings about the world that like we can't think about in our conscious brain, so they happen in either like the mammalian brain, but like the basically the monkey brain or the lizard brain, like if we're talking about the three brain split type of theory of mind. It's but like it does. It's like it is a thing because there's the guts, and the guts also think. Like there's a whole gut brain thing that we like barely understand, that we're only starting to understand, and like the microbiome is really important too. And there's a lot of stuff about like smells we don't understand, and like yeah, pheromones aren't a thing, but like also there's a lot that information that does happen through smell. Like this lady who can like smell Parkinson's in people, which is crazy and awesome. It's like it's less about like it's not so much the frontal cortex exclusively so much as it's just like the the cortex. Like oh my gosh, yeah, we know. Let's use this. Gosh, it's not the frontal cortex though. I cannot remember what the word is because it just won't appear in my brain. But yes, frontal cortex is a part of it, and then it's basically just like the deeper parts, the more parts like the emotional, the instinctual, the survival ones. Like those are still there. Like listen, our brains are capable of determining whether or not someone is a friend or a foe in literal milliseconds. And it happens and it's automatic and there's nothing that you can consciously really do about it. You can like change that point of view, but like at minimum, like there are these split second instinctual decisions that are happening that change how you feel. And feelings are really, really important. So, okay, so basically, yes. Yeah, frontal cortex, yes, but it's not the only part. I'm thinking of like, there's basically, there's the three brain part theory. Basically it's like you have your human part of your brain, your like I guess monkey part of the brain, and the lizard part of the brain. It's basically like as part of evolution as it changed, like basically like the cerebellum and the brainstem is the first most like base part, and then there's like the other parts like basically the million stuff with the amygdala and like the other like feeling parts, and then there's like the conscious logical we try to conceptualize potential hypothetical futures and the intentions of others type of part of the brain. Oh, norepinephrine responsible for both, really? Because there's also like is norepinephrine hanging out in like the amygdala too? Because like fear and the amygdala are specifically, I feel like it's involved, but I don't think it's the only thing responsible for fear and anger. Because most of the time, if you talk about emotions, especially ones like that, like it's almost never going to be just one chemical, even if there's one that's going to be more commonly involved, or you can evoke an emotion with this chemical. And that makes sense with norepinephrine, honestly, because like if you have too much norepinephrine from caffeine, I mean, just think about the people who like have had too much caffeine and how they react to the world. Not great. Hello, Rib Six. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, actually, I am enjoying the weather. It's really nice. Like, it's really nice to be able to go outside and like it doesn't hurt my face and it doesn't hurt to breathe, which is great. It's a huge plus. I'm enjoying that. Though the sunshine can be too much because I keep forgetting to bring sunglasses because my brain's like, it's winter. I don't need my sunglasses. And then like I'm just walking around blind. Awful. Yes, including the sunglasses. Oh, I understand. Right. Anyway, so my point about all of like, you know, the universe is like the universe isn't this like when I say if you follow the path of the universe or like the universe having an effect on you or these things, it's not some magical like conscious being. It's really like if you listen to all of your instincts, if you actually go like, okay, no, this feels wrong. I feel it in my guts. I can't tell you why, but it feels wrong. There's some other things you're perceiving that you probably actually shouldn't ignore that are actually probably important, right? It doesn't mean always do exactly what you feel, but it does mean that if something feels just like straight up wrong, you gotta at least listen and try to figure out why, right? Yes. Yes. Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense, Ruby. Yeah, the fight, flight, freezer, fawn, norepinephrine does make sense, actually. It does. Interesting. But yeah. So, point is, because also the universe isn't just your own instincts and your own experience with just like stuff that's happening, but also people and how they interact with stuff and how that influences you and how you are influenced by the other actions of people and all that stuff. Basically, if you're on the right path, things feel like they're going pretty good and they feel like they're going surprisingly smooth, etc., etc. And if you're on the wrong path, everything feels like you're forcing yourself or forcing something in a direction. And like you can push. Like I'm like pushing in a direction can be good for like growth and change. Like you can push for something. You can be ambitious, but sorry, excuse me. Random throat tickle. But if it feels like you're forcing it and it just starts to feel weird and wrong, it feels off, then you got to get in tune with yourself and figure out what you need. And like that's probably the hippiest stuff that I'm gonna say for like at least a week. But like I kind of feel those vibes. So anyways, speaking of vibes, so there's this game we've been playing, Shibuya Scrambles. Let's see how that goes. Okay. So we stopped in the middle of Osawa, so we're just going to continue with him, which is actually fine. Like, I actually have enjoyed when we stop in the middle of a character, because then I'm not, like, lost and trying to remember what I was going to do. I have to just finish the thing that I was working on. Okay. Now Osawa was staring across that ditch, wondering if it was too wide to leap. He thought back to his earlier exchange with Kajiwara. If you get angry, you show it. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling after all. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Yes, that was right. He needed to apologize to Maria for what he'd done that day. It still wasn't too late. I mean, no, she's still traumatized from that. It's not too late to apologize and be better. It's not too late to be better, but it is too late to not have all of those years of accumulating trauma not add up. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. That's also not true. There absolutely is. We have this wonderful thing called no contact, which you're able to do when someone is just no, and it's very sad. It's very upsetting, but it is a necessary and beautiful tool in the toolbox. He recalled Pretty Honey's words. He needed to apologize to Maria, and so he needed to ask I for that password. Usawa was going to have to face his wife. Ah, yes. We're going to continue off where we 5 seconds later, keep out. Actually, it's fine. That's fine, because now we know that we're looking for Osawa. Let's just... Are we at the keep out for Achi? Let me check. I should really just have a look at the timeline. Let me check it. Yeah, keep out, keep out. Okay, so we just have to go to the other ones. Okay, let's go to Kano. Surprise attack. A gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun, but it was a wild shot fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. It's Kanan. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eyes stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. "Stop right there." The knife stopped, mere millimeters from Tateno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have already been slit. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. "You. I know you," Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. It was the girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. "Why stop me?" she asked, her tone ice cold. "Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?" "I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Now that you've helped Maria escape. Please put the knife away." "Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway." The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. It's just like, they know what they're doing. Like, look at his butt just sticking up in the air. Like, yes, this is a very convincing, like, passed out pose for sure. His neck will hurt when he wakes up a lot. "Why did you come to Maria's rescue?" "Because she's my friend," the girl said simply. "She's been infected with a virus," Kano said. "We have to get her help as soon as possible." He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down. "Not so fast. Don't move." The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. "What for?" he demanded. I love so much how she's wielding a mall ninja knife. Like, I'm sorry, but there is nothing actually practical about this particular knife. There's no reason for this knife to look like this other than the fact that it looks exotic and cool, like, in terms of, like, fun, sharp shapes, but it is not practical. It's worse. As hard to take care of, it's just less effective, and it is mall ninja knife. This is the kind of knife that, like, you buy at a mall stand. Like, yeah, this is my super cool knife. Look at me. I'm gonna be a ninja like Naruto. And, like, listen, I am only able to make these jokes because it was me. It was me. I've done this thing. I didn't buy the knife because I wouldn't have been allowed to, but my friend definitely bought me a mall ninja knife. And I literally don't know where it is, but it was like double bladed on 2 sides. I never used it for anything other than to just have it. It just made me feel cool to have. That's fun. I thought you wanted to help. I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her. The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her. Just who in the world are you? Before I answer that, let's make a deal. Also, I see there's a bannable offense here. Click on this button. You. Ban. Gone. Listen, I have the ban hammer, the secret ban knife, which was passed down through our generations, and only through the power of my key can I ban this bot. Let's make a deal. Kana waited, non-committal. I have information relevant to this case, the girl continued. I want to make an exchange. Kana swallowed the lump in his throat. Exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is. Hitomi Osawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kana could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Do we have a deal or not? The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the UA virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. It was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Oh. Hello, Gold. Welcome. Welcome to some flavor of morning. Don't worry, I know. I mean, listen, with a 9-hour time difference. No, 8-hour time difference. It's not that bad. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. All right, I'll tell you. No way, can't share the intro. First, you know who you are. My name is Kanan. Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. I love this so much. Did she do that? Kana was almost afraid to wonder. As if sensing his unease, Kanan spoke up, her voice low and calm. Once you hear what I have to say, I think you'll be more inclined to tell me where Hitomi is. There was a lingering trace of adolescence in the strange girl's face. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet, Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Tateno unconscious. All right, then. Guess I'll go first, Kanan began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person and put a stop to their plan. Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that happened today, he realized his sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after. You're talking about an arms dealer named Alphard, aren't you? Kanan nodded. The UA virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect, she said. The antiviral will render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alphard orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There was a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kana was sure Alfred's plan was hidden in those baffling details. Lab security at Okoshi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day. Getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face. If you were Alphard, how would you steal it? She asked. Kana was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. There must be some way to get those locks open, right? Sawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? If you can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in. You wouldn't need to steal it. Just wait until the drugs hit shelves. Of course, just, you know. Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod. Very astute. Wait, really? 6 days ago, Alphard injected Hitomi Osawa with the Uwa virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn, so it wasn't only Maria who'd been infected but Hitomi as well? 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself, but if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean he needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, which is why Alphard bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. Why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alphard have Hitomi infected with the virus only to have her father cure it? We already know the answer to this one. It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa now would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So since getting the antiviral out of the lab wasn't an option, Alphard must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means that Alphard's really after... Khan nodded. Yep. Hitomi's blood. She finished. Alphard specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Kanan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Alphard. Yes. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Kanan. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Why not use Tanaka as the vessel instead of Hitomi? Is there really no other way to get antiviral? Tanaka could enter the lab along with Osawa, then secretly inject himself with the antiviral. It didn't seem like that would be terribly difficult. Good question. If getting the antiviral were the only goal, that would be the most expedient means of doing it. So then why use Hitomi Osawa? Kanan thought for a moment before answering. Tanaka may have objected the idea of giving himself the drug. I hear that it can have some severe side effects. But she seemed unconvinced by her own words. Do you know why they targeted Hitomi? Kano demanded. I don't. But I'm sure there must be some reason. Alphard hadn't gone with using Tanaka, which would have been the sure thing. Instead, they'd gone with Hitomi. Hitomi was injected with a virus, brought into the lab, and used to sneak the antiviral out. Now the plan was to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. Something about this idea still struck Kano as incredibly odd. So wait, why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? Had the kidnappers, Kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi. The two were twins after all, so it wasn't inconceivable, but it's my fault it meant that Maria was kidnapped. Kanan looked away. I contacted her before all this started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give her to her sister so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. My plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alphard. Yeah, no, I mean, Resident Evil will definitely make you think of different effects of viruses for sure. Hell, why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not get her to leave town or something like that? It must have been some sort of accident, though. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alphard hadn't counted on. Kanan cast a glance over to Tenno. This person right here, she said. So Tenno had disrupted Alphard's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Kanan continued, Alfred must be panicking about now. We can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Precisely. Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin. Heard that from Stanley, Kano said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier. Case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was CIA. The U.S. Embassy in Akasaka functions as the headquarters for the CIA's Japan branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, often under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan, but given the inherent secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Yes, biohorror is also a fun genre. Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alphard is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain an antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no surprise people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alphard's plan. A tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal Digital Assistant refers to various types of small portable devices for information management, occasionally also referred to as a handheld PC. No. Interesting, the GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Kanan frowned. At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. All right. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dongazaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with a dilapidated old storefront. He'd passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story, that there's a lot that happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alphard's after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Kanan. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Where is she? Kanan asked as soon as Kano hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Kanan was off and running. Please tell me she Naruto runs. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Toteno, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. They ran from South Hill and Nanpeidai towards Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led them. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. Not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. Hey, Kano called out to Kanan. What? She shouted back without turning. You sure this is the right area? You doubting the GPS? Actually, can I see the GPS unit? Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. And electronics is right up ahead, he said. What? Kanan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. He took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. Knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Kanan said. Or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. Me? Think you've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report in HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Osawa. Huh? What was that? Kuze's words came out as a surprised and childish yelp. Come on, Kanan's smile turned to a stupid glare. Time's critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Where are you? Can't say it right now, sir. Please just leave this to me. Hey, now just hold on. Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Why even call? Why even call if you're to say, hey, I found her, and then not say anything else? Kanan already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea she might be playing right into Alphard's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. Peering into the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Marie and Stanley were standing there, looking down at a middle-aged man who had just restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to an older fellow. You think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There's so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she says. He realized this was good advice. If they provoked the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man to talk him down. Speaking of young man, let's go. Why can't I? No? You were at the... With me? Because we're at a keep out that's earlier? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, there's only one person left who doesn't have a keep out now. I guess Minorikawa is going to have to wrap up a whole bunch of stuff real fast. The TV news continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What does this mean? Chiaki blinked in confusion. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide, didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it seemed Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual using his own daughter to buy himself some time. Minorikawa wanted to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive, and if he was still alive, there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time with a big scoop waiting in the wings for the issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Ozu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him. He sat back down on the sofa. Sagawa leaned threateningly towards Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where this guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. Say what now? He leaned in even closer just as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Both reeled back, clutching their heads in their hands. Ugh. Just calm down, Chiaki, Norikawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm going to have to look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article. Oh, Ozu raised an eyebrow. You're getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. I want to change up the plan for next month's issue. Can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What Minorikawa was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of a 4-star general gossip. I was pretty sure the article on Osawa had been printed on the magazine's inaugural issue. If he could find that scandalous piece that scientist had been asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet the sales figures would go through the roof. He found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Okoshi Pharmaceuticals arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off the page. Minorikawa quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okoshi's pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man. It must be what Osawa wanted him to look into, the guy his wife had been dating before they were married. Should be easy enough, just ask whoever had written on the article. Minorikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. The piece had been written by Toyama himself. Hey, ain't you done yet? Sagawa yelled. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Minorikawa thought. We're gonna need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves were packed with a jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills, noodle house delivery menus, and the like. Look faster, Sagawa growled. Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. Are you guys hungry? I was thinking of ordering some soba. Man, this ain't no time for that, Sagawa snarled. Besides, we just had some soba anyways. Ugh, it was awful. Don't talk to me about noodles. Sagawa launched into a shadowboxing session as if trying to punch the provider of his disappointing soba. The guy clearly had zero capacity for sitting still. Minorikawa had found the back issue of the gossip he was looking for. Still needed Chiaki's article, though, and she wasn't quite finished yet. He had to buy some more time. By the way, said Sagawa, are you familiar with SOS? SOS? Thug paused mid-jab. Yeah, SOS, I was planning on interviewing them later today. Hear there's some pretty tough guys. Only one of them would be able to give me a fight. It'd probably be that Achi Endo. Except as I heard, he'd left the gang. Oh, really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays they're being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rang a bell. The two young punks who'd been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in a pretty tough state since Achi left, though, Sagawa added. Minorikawa didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state? Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder, Achi, hated that sort of thing. Now that he's out, a lot of rough-and-tumble, hot-blooded types have been signing up with them. Smart move is not to get involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here when there's a lot of them together. Their main hangout, that's at Inferno, yeah? Yeah, over in Uraharajuku. Known as Urahara for short. The area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku Station, around where Takeshita-dori meets Meiji-dori. There are many small clothing and accessory stores here, set up in renovated houses. Most of these shops are on the cutting edge of youth fashion, offering quirky and unique means of personal expression. Man, you've been listening on the streets. What gives? Harajuku, huh? Minorikawa smiled to himself. Inferno's location practically followed into his laps. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait, nah, no way a coward like him would go to a place like that. Checky looked up from her keyboard. Look, can you please shut up? No, you shut up. That's my phone. Minorikawa pulled his cell out of his pocket. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. Minorikawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Shizu, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, what were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill out those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. Still be up to my ears in debt. So I thought if I made it look like I was dead... Minorikawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone knows you're still alive, so your little attempt at subterfuge didn't even wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Minorikawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay that back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print of 1,000,000 copies and still sell out if we could run it as an article. Toyama perked right up. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you all the details. Just get your butt back here. But aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine. I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. Two thugs crowded near, a predatory gleam in their eyes. Minorikawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly, before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Hey, Minorikawa said as their footsteps receded. This guy's took the bait. I sent him to Miyashita Park. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Right then. So where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park! What? Minorikawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. The hell are you doing someplace like that? Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park? I thought it would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. This is no time to be fighting, Chiaki butted in. Yeah, you're right, Minorikawa scowled. Anyways, Toyama, those guys are headed your way. We need to get you out of there and go someplace you could talk. I can meet you there. Right, okay. They needed someplace safe and public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. But where? The Noodle House. Dogen Hut, huh? Toyama rumbled the words under his breath. What's the matter? Is there some problem with that? No. Alright, I'll meet you there. It's over in Dogenzaka. The address is on the menu. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Jackie, how's that copy coming along? Well, almost done. Just a little more, I think. Alright, bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you got so far. Minorikawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. You've got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to the press. The writer submits to the editor. The editor submits to the designer. This is the next step, the whole handoff process. Naturally, being late for this causes quite a lot of trouble. 56, 55. A slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down at the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. Minorikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication he'd ever heard Minorikawa's question. Suppose I can wait here, he continued, just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino, is this guy talking about our submission? Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Minorikawa asked, are you from the printer? The man did not reply. Don't ignore me, are you from the printer? Still, the man remained silent. Minorikawa, look, cut that crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. My name is not Hey You. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing Co. Sales Department Division Number 1. Koichiro Katayama. I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. Pleasure to meet you. My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. Sachio Usui, 39 years old, single, a longtime veteran at the Cho Nippon Printing. Rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. At around 1:10 p.m. earlier today, while driving to meet with one of his clients, he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted onto the street. He crashed into the car next to him and ended up in the hospital. Oh, that was us. We did that. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Minorikawa asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. Our company's proof deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly back at Minorikawa. Now that had to be a joke. Heard from the editor-in-chief it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean, then, that you don't have any copy for us. It's not that we don't have it, Minorikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on till 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay your proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. While we're having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, Minorikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us until 8 o'clock. That was the original understanding. It was unfair to change it now. 8 o'clock, And where's your guarantee that you'll finish by then? We will, just trust me. I'm supposed to heedlessly trust the word of a man I've just met? Katayama mused. We're down to 10 minutes and 46 seconds, by the way. You son of a bitch. Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for the printer. High and mighty? I'd say it's the people in the publishing side of things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that and blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes for more work on our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? It's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Yorikawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. If he backed down now, though, it was game over. 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase. Thus far, he said, that's just common decency 3 times in the story. Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. There's one more. Do you know when and where it was? No. Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. There's no use. Minorikawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up. May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities became your responsibilities. Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's your name, miss? Chiaki, she said passively. Chiaki Iso. The printer's expression brightened visibly. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers. Huh? Chiaki was taken rather aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow. All right, Minorikawa shouted practically in Katayama's face. We agree to those terms. No, I wasn't talking to you. But we've got terms of our own. Katayama reeled ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? We're going to finish up our copy on site, then you burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation. Very well. Suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Norikawa pumped his fist in victory. Alright, Chiaki, go and copy the DPD data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Chiaki quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. Okay, done. Then let's go. With the others in tow, Minorikawa headed for the noodle house where Toyama would be waiting. The soba restaurant Dogen Hut was roughly halfway up Dogenzaka. A long-standing noodle shop on Dogenzaka. 2 years ago, the owner passed away from illness. Now the restaurant is run by his... Yes, we met this lady before. Early in the story. So yeah, there are 2 part-timers, Masa from Midoriyama Academy and Mohinte, an Indian exchange student. Despite the sign billing the establishment as a soba restaurant, duck meat soba and chilled curry soba are the only 2 actual soba offerings. The rest of the menu is all udon dishes, and in fact, both kinds of soba are terrible. Maybe the chilled curry soba would be okay if someone else were making it. Inside, they encountered the proprietress near the door as she held up a massive cleaver for cutting soba noodles, clutched in one hand. Toyama wasn't there. Excuse me, Minorikawa said. Has a middle-aged man come by your shop? Name's Toyama. The proprietress let out a weary sigh. That guy, huh? You folks know him? Yeah, that's right. Then I'm sorry. Didn't want to have to do this. It was all his fault, though. You reap what you sow. Minorikawa didn't know what she was going on about, but suddenly had a very bad feeling. So then Toyama was here? He asked cautiously. Yes, he came by. Where is he now? Please tell me. No, I have no obligation to tell anything to friends of Toyama's. Evidently, there was some bad blood between Toyama and this woman. The real victim here is me. Her voice rose abruptly to a roar. Now listen up good to this old woman's story. I don't have time for this, Minorikawa thought. He needed to find Toyama as soon as possible, but instead it looked like he'd be stuck hearing out this angry woman first. Alright, we're listening. Tell us your story. It's a long one. The woman's mouth twisted up and she licked her lips, leaning in to tell her tale. Long, long ago, when I was still in my 20s, I would often make deliveries to Heblin Publishing. They were some of my best customers. Back then, we were so busy, my employees practically worked themselves to death. You see, Dogen Hut had the finest soba in Japan, and our spokesmodel was considered one of the most beautiful girls in the world. Back when this woman was in her 20s, Heaven Publishing hadn't even existed yet. Minorikawa figured he better not correct her. That would probably just piss her off and make her stop entirely. He kept his mouth shut and listened to her silly tale. Anyways, that's all in the past now. As time went on, we had a list of delivery customers asking us to put their bills on their tab. So much so it became a problem, and we changed our policy to disallow that sort of thing. The fine folks of Heaven Publishing considered themselves to be an exception to that rule. And that put my part-timer Masa, who does deliveries, in a bit of a bind. Okay. Oh, Masa's a student at the Midoriyama. Oh my gosh. First-year student at Midoriyama Academy. After getting indigestion from eating too much parfait at a fast food restaurant on Center Guy, he was there with his girlfriend to do a dry run for the competitive eating contest, he wound up going by the restroom 14 times in 1 hour. Unable to stand idly by, his girlfriend called an acquaintance of hers, the gluttonous Chiriko Osugi, for advice on improving Masa's intentional fortitude. Turned out, however, that Chiriko was planning to compete in the same contest. Knowing they were up against some monumental competition, the two continued their training, weary of the battle to come. Oh my gosh, what a weird side story. He took the day off to go on a date with his girlfriend. I hear they're planning to compete as a couple in some ice cream eating contest that's going to air on TV. They were going to a practice run together today. Honestly, how ridiculous is that? Honestly, he couldn't care less about Masa one way or the other, Minorikawa thought. This whole experience was turning into a real ordeal. So yes, we were in a real bind. I run a restaurant here, not a charity operation. I'd call and ask them to settle up, but they'd always say, oh, we don't have any money, and that's a lie. It's gotta be a lie. What else could it be? Otherwise, how could they keep making their magazine of theirs? That's Celebrity Confidential, or whatever the hell it is. Celebrity Confidential was a weekly tabloid put out by one of Heblin Publishing's competitors. Nerikawa was just gonna have to let that egregious mix-up slide. It's not all, the proprietress spat. Oh no, on top of that, their magazine's little gourmet gabs corner, or whatever they call it, ran a scathing review of us. After that, customers started keeping their distance, and I aged 20 years practically overnight. Gourmet Gabs was a column that ran in Celebrity Confidential. There was nothing of the sort in 4-Star General Gossip. This one has clearly gotten the two magazines mixed up somehow. Awful. Just awful, isn't it? All I wanted to do was make soba for people to enjoy. And so to be treated like this, to be treated like this. The woman had started to sob. The cleaver began to waver in her trembling hand. Then, earlier today, these two Yakuza-looking fellows came by. Said they were looking for Toyama from Heblin Publishing. Guess they saw one of our menus at his office and figured he might have come by. Should be talking about Ozu and Sagawa. They'd both been nearby when Minorikawa was rooting through the desk drawers. They must have spotted the menu then. Told them he wasn't here and hadn't ordered delivery in some time. So they said that if I happened to see him to give him a call. I was just going to turn them away. They looked like a pair of nasty loan sharks. Toyama would never be able to pay off his tab if they caught him. And I told them as much. The proprietress lowered her voice before continuing. They said they'd be most appreciative if I could let them know. Even offered to pay his tab for me if I did. Well, that pretty much settled it. So I let them give me their phone number. Arakawa's face went pale. This lady had been bribed by those two thugs. And so I guess you figured it out now. A little earlier, Toyama dropped by looking like he was trying to lie low. So it all came together. Snuck out back and gave those two a call, and so here we are. You guys were just a hair too late. Oh, crap. Toyama had been carted off by moneylenders. Arakawa had to find him right away. Mr. Mino, Chucky squeaked nervously. We have to hurry and go look for him. Yeah. Arakawa and the others headed for the door. Wait. The voice sounded as if it echoed up from the very depths of hell. Norikawa and the company stops in their tracks. What? You think I can just let you go? It's terrifying. The old woman began to stalk towards them. Those guys, they left without showing their appreciation or paying off that tab. They lied to me. And so just who's going to show me the appreciation I'm owed? Who's going to pay that tab? You're all in this together, trying to play me for a fool. But hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. The proprietress lifted her cleaver high. Her eyes smoldered with inhuman rage. A murderous aura surrounded her like a bonfire wind. Wait, Yorikawa cried. We're Toyama's... His friends? Then prepare yourselves. You'll repay his debt to me with your lives. The three companions stood by paralyzed with horror, watching their bloody doom approach. The blade glimmered in the dimness as she swung it towards Minorikawa. Time for some fresh meat! Oh my god, what? Minorikawa, Chiaki, and Katayama screamed, their cries echoing clear across Dogonzaka. Tragedy at the Noodle House. It was no ordinary grudge. Seriously, who the heck decided this was a good idea? Me. Funny. Nothing suitable came to mind. Maybe Toyama should decide. You got any suggestions? There's a bar in Dakanyama I drop by a lot. How about there? A very fashionable yet relaxed neighborhood in Shibuya. High-end boutiques, high-end restaurants, high-end confectionery shops, high-end cafes, high-end interior design stores, and high-end residential housing all line the streets. A settlement dating back 2,000 years to the Yayoi period has been excavated in Dakanyama, but it cannot be said for sure whether its dwellings were high-end for the time. Yeah, that'll work fine. Oh, so start by heading north from the Shibuya station. After a while, you hit a three-way intersection, turn left, and about 100 meters, take a right. Along the way, there'll be a side street that branches off. Oh my gosh. Just head right down the stairs there, and it'll look like you need to go left at the slightly curving incline, but go right. Okay, it's getting way too complicated. Forget it. I'll pick a place. Murakawa suggested the cafe by the station. Now it was comfortably familiar. He quickly described the location. Okay, Thomas said. Cafe Latris. Get it. Yes, we've spent a long time in his office for sure. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Jackie, how's that copy coming along? Well, almost done. Just a little more, I think. All right, bring your computer and come with me. I'll read what you've got so far. Minorikawa waited as Jackie got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out the office, however, someone else opened the door. Okay. So we've done this one before, and I did say I was going to have a shorter stream. So let's stop here. We'll basically take this to where we were before, and then we'll continue next week. I feel like we're getting pretty close to solving this whole thing, but let's leave the finale for next time. Sound good? Sounds good. We're getting real close to a finale. All the bad has written someone other than the head writer. Oh, yes, definitely. And I feel like, especially at some parts, they just were having a lot of fun with it, honestly. Yes, thank you so much for hanging out. It was a lovely time. I hope everyone enjoyed the absolute ridiculousness that has gone on in this game so far. Honestly, I probably should have called it right at the moment where we got the bad end, but nah, it's kind of funnier to be exactly right here where we are. So, well, whoops. But yeah, again, thank you, and I will see you all next week. Bye!